So, hello and welcome. My name is Martin, and today I'm going to show you how you can create a simple project in After Effects. And I'm going to be using version CC 2020, but this project can be made in any previous version. So right now I'm going to quickly show you what we are going to be doing today. Alright, so right now we can start. The first thing that I'm going to do is obviously open the After Effects, and then I'm going to choose new composition. So I will just click new composition, and I'm going to have these options composition settings. And actually I do not need to change anything. Maybe you can change the duration. Right now it is 1 minute and 15 seconds, but everything else I want to keep as it is. So I will just click OK. Fine. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some images into the After Effects. So I already downloaded these two images, and I'm going to provide a link in the descriptions. And I do not own any copyrights to these images, but I just thought that I can use them for the tutorial. So I'm going to start with this one, and all I did is I typed Mercedes into the Google, and I have downloaded this image. Okay, so I'm going to import this to the After Effects, and all I need to do is to import it like so. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a light effect that I showed you in the intro. So how can I do this? What I need to do is I need to create the mask, and then I need to create some shape layer, and the shape layer will go through the mask. But it is going to be best when I am going to show you. So now I'm going to go and get my pen tool. When you get the pen tool, you are going to have a fill and stroke. And I would like to have a stroke, so I will click on the stroke and I will choose the solid color. By default, you may have a stroke. So I will click and I will hit OK. And I am going to go maybe with 10 pixels. It really doesn't matter. And color also doesn't matter right now. And I would like to get rid of the fill temporarily. So I will click on the fill and I will click this icon, none. And I will hit OK. So right now, make sure that you don't have your Mercedes selected. Otherwise you would make a mask inside of this layer. So nothing is selected, and then we can start to draw. So I will zoom in a little bit and I will click with my pen like so. With the space I will move this little bit, and I am going to create a shape like this. Okay, and don't worry about details, it is going to look good anyway. So I will do something like this, and like this, and so on. And now I'm going to zoom out only with the wheel on the mouse. Okay, so now what I want is I actually want to get my fill, and I would like to get rid of the stroke. So I just during the drawing I wanted to have a stroke, but right now I will go to the fill and I will choose that I want a fill, and I will hit OK. And I will go to the stroke and put it to the 0 like this. Fine. Now we have the shape like this, and it really doesn't matter what kind of color this shape is. But I can click and I can change it to maybe yellow, it's optional. The next thing that I want to do is I want to create a shape like this. Okay, and again make sure that you have nothing selected, because otherwise we would create a mask. I can very quickly show you. If my Mercedes is selected and I would go to the rectangle tool, I wouldn't be creating a new shape, but I would be creating a mask on my Mercedes layer. So I will go back with Ctrl Z. Okay, so nothing is selected, and then I can draw something like this. Fine. Now what I want to do is I actually want to change the color of this fill. So I will click on the fill and I'm going to choose the white color, like so. Now what I want to do is I want to animate the position of this shape layer. But before of that, I will rename my layers so everything is in the order. So I will click with my enter on the shape layer 1 and I will call it to be mask 1. And I will click on this layer, I will hit enter and this is going to be light effect. Fine. Now I'm going to get the position of my light effect, so I will just hit P, it is going to reveal my position, and on the beginning, on the frame 0, I am going to create a keyframe, like so. Now what I want to do is zoom in a little bit on the timeline. So here at the bottom, I am going to click a couple of times, and right now I can see each individual second. So now I will go to the second. It's funny how that sounds. And I'm going to move this to the right side. So I can do something like this. Fine. And now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have an animation like this. So far it doesn't look pretty good, but we are going to make some adjustments. So the first thing that I need to do is to put my light effect below the mask. So I will do it like so. And now my mask is on the top and light effect is below. But this, of course, doesn't change anything so far, except that the shape, my white shape, is not visible on the where the mask is. But now what I want to do is on this track mate, I want to choose that I want to alpha mate mask 1. And if you don't see this track mate, all you need to do is click at the bottom, toggle switch modes, and this is toggling between two modes, between this mode, and if I click one more time, it is going to reveal this mode. And actually F4 is a shortcut for switching this. So I want to be on this mode and I will choose alpha mate, and mask 1 is the layer, is the name that I give to my layer. So I will click this one, and now what is going to happen is that the light effect is going to be visible only on the place where the mask 1 is located. And my mask 1 is the shape of the Mercedes logo. So now it is going to look like this. Okay, fine. And I can go to my light effect and I can hit U, and this is going to reveal my keyframes. And if you want, you can make this quicker or the slower. This is optional. But now this looks fine, but there is something missing. And what I want to do is these edges, they are too sharp. And I want to apply some blurriness to this light effect. So all I need to do is temporarily, but you do not need to do this, I am going to set this to no track mate, and I can make my mask 1 visible. And I will go to my light effect. I will go to the effects in here. I will choose blur and sharpen, and there is a lot of options for the blurriness, but most of them I don't ever used. And this Gaussian blur is most common, and this is just going to apply you a normal blurriness. So I will choose this one, and now I have an option to choose how much of the blurriness I want. So I'm going to increase this slider, and when I think that it is going to be cool, maybe like this, I am going to keep it. And in the Gaussian blur you have an option to choose horizontal, vertical, or both of them. So we could just go with the horizontal, but we can go with both. It's like, it doesn't really matter. And now, if I go ahead and change this to the alpha made mask 1, now we are going to have this light effect, but it is going to be blurred like this. And again, this is optional how much of the blurriness you want to have in there. So I think that this looks much better than when it was with the sharp edges. Fine. The next thing that I can do is to make the same thing for this part. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I will go to my shape tool, I will go with ellipse tool, I will make sure that nothing is selected, and I will start to draw. And if I hold shift, this is going to be proportional, and if I hit Ctrl, it is going to start from the middle. So I will hit shift and Ctrl, and it is started from where I started, and I'm going to create a shape like this. Okay, it doesn't matter that we are not exactly in the center because we are going to adjust this. So now what I want to do is to increase my stroke like so, and I actually want to get rid of my fill. So I will click on the fill and I will get rid of the fill like so. And now with my arrows and maybe shift, I can put it like so. And now what I can do is hit S on my shape layer for the scale. I can scale this down a little bit if I want. I can increase my stroke. So now this is really optional, and you need to get it to the place where you want. Okay, so I'm going to go with something like this, and I think it looks fine. If you want, you can hit T for the transparency, and you can see whether you are or you are not on the place where you want to be. Okay, just to make sure where your shape is. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is hit enter one more time to rename this. This is going to be my mask 2, and I'm going to duplicate my light effect. So I will hit Ctrl D while I am on the light effect. So Ctrl D, and now I have my light effect and mask 1, and light effect 2 and mask 2, and it is already the alpha made for the mask 2, and I need to hide the mask 2 right now. And now what I'm going to have is animation like this. Fine. And now what I want to do is to reveal all of my keyframes. So I will click on my light effect 2 and light effect 1. I will hit U, and it is going to reveal all of the keyframes. And I can get the keyframes from the second animation, and I can move them like so. And right now what I'm going to do, what I'm going to have is, first I'm going to have this animation, and then I'm going to have this animation. So I can play, and it is going to look like this. And I think that this is offsetted too much, so I will move it like so. And again, the animation is art, so there is no right or wrong way of these keyframes and distance from the keyframes and so on. So it's up to you what kind of animation looks smooth for you and so on. So yeah, this is how you can create a light effect. You can of course go ahead and change the color of this, and you can play around. You can create a mask around this shape. So this is optional. Now what I want to do is I want to close everything, and I will go to my light effect 2. I will hit U. So right now I know where my animation ends. And I will go to my Mercedes image. I will hit P for the position, and I am going to, maybe I will move a little bit further on the 4th second. I will click keyframe on the position. I will zoom out a little bit, and now I will go maybe, I don't know, 1 second, and I'm going to animate this like so. Somewhere here. Fine. And now what I want to do is actually I want to import my second image. So I will go to the folder where my image is located, and I am going to put it to the After Effects like so. Now my car is going to be on the top layer. I will hit enter. I will rename this to the car. I am going to scale it down a little bit, so I will hit S and scale it maybe like so. Zoom it, move it down a little bit with the shift, so it is going to stay in the middle. And now I want to put it to the bottom, like so. And now my car is not going to be visible, but when this Mercedes logo is going to go up, my car is going to be revealed. Fine. The next thing that I can do is I can create some kind of background. So what I need to do is go to the layer, new, solid, and I'm going to choose the color, and I can go with the white. So I will hit OK, OK, and I'm going to have a white solid, which I can rename to be BG as a background, and I can put this BG below my car. Like so. Okay, so right now, again, this is optional. You can choose any color that you want. You can go with white, you can go with black, even though the black wouldn't look good because there is no contrast, but you can use different color, different image. But the one thing that I want to show you, what you can do for the background is click on the background, go to the effects, in the effects go to the generate, and in the generate there is an option for the gradient ramp, which is like a normal gradient, so I will choose this, and there is going to be my bottom color, which is going to be white, and my top color, which is going to be black. And I can actually go ahead and change this little bit, and you can play around if you want, but I am going to leave it as it is. But maybe this kind of gradient looks a little bit better than just the solid color. Okay, fine. So now the next thing that we can do is we can actually animate the car that is to move in while this logo is going up. So what I can do is click on the car, click on the scale, so S for revealing the scale, and I will create a keyframe. And I will move the keyframe somewhere here, and I will put this to the 0. And now we are going to have an animation which goes from the 0 like this. Okay. The next thing that I am going to do is I am going to highlight these keyframes, and I am going to hit F9. And this F9 is just going to make an easy ease, which is a different animation little bit. Because I can show you, but I'm not going to explain this right now. If you click this graph editor, you can see that your animation right now is linear like this. So it means that the animation is going the same speed all the time. But if I go ahead and hit F9, it is going to change how the keyframes looks, and it is going to look like this. Okay, and these curves for the animation is like a whole different topic. So maybe one day I will create a video about it. And right now, the animation is going to look a little bit better, but I need to adjust it a little bit, so it is going to look fine. Okay, so the first thing that I don't like is that it is too slow. So I'm going to move this little bit. And if you go and you hit shift and page down, it is going to move you 10 frames, like so. And if I do it one more time, it is going to do it one more time, 10 frames, and I can put this to be like 20 frames long animation. And the next thing that I can do is to move it a little bit back, so it is going to appear a little bit earlier. Okay, something like this. I will hit enter, space. Okay, I don't like this, so I will move it a little bit more in here. And now, okay, I think this is fine. So when you are making animation, you can spend a lot of time adjusting your animation, your speed and so on. So it's up to you, but my one advice is like don't spend too much time on the details. Sometimes if you have like big budget, big project, you can, but otherwise just do it as you feel and continue and so on. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to show you how you can switch the lights on the car. And I'm going to cheat this little bit. So I will zoom in and I'm going to create a shape. So I will go to the shape, to the ellipse tool, again, make sure that nothing is selected and go to the fill, choose the solid color, get your stroke to the 0, and now I'm going to draw a shape like this. Okay, so now what I want to do is to rename this to the light. And do you know what we are going to do right now? Something similar that we did before. Maybe you already know. I will go to the light, I will go to the effect, I will go to the blur or sharpen, and I will choose Gaussian blur. And now I'm going to blur this like so. And it starts to look a little bit like a light. Okay? And now you can go ahead and change this to some kind of tint of the yellow, very slight. It's again optional. Everything is optional, you can choose. And what I can do is hit R for the rotation and rotate it a little bit. But before of that, what I need to do is I try to rotate this, but here is my shape and in the middle is the anchor point. And it would rotate around the anchor point. So, and I don't like it. So what I need to do is hit Y, and it is going to give you this tool, pen behind, anchor point tool, and I can move my anchor point, and if I hit Ctrl, I will be able to put it exactly to the center, like so. And now, if I'm going to rotate this, it is going to rotate around the anchor point, like so. And now I'm going to duplicate the light, so Ctrl D. I will reveal the position. I will move this in here. And I will reveal the rotation. And I will change this from 14 to -14. Like this. And now we have it. Again, now is optional how much do you like the lights. You can go ahead for the scale and you can make it smaller or bigger. But I think that something like this looks fine. Maybe a little bit smaller like this. Okay. And you can play with the transparency and so on. So now what I want to do is I do not want these lights to be visible before my car came to the scene. So what I can do is go to the light as it is in here, and I will create a keyframe for the scale. I will move the keyframes a little bit, and then I will just make the scale to be 0. And now what is going to happen is that my scale is going to be 0, and then it is going to change to 88%. Okay, so something like this. Fine. If you want, you can go ahead and create some kind of blinking with the light. So what I can do is create something like this. Then I am going to copy my keyframe. I will move a couple of frames like so, and I will hit paste. And I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom one. So Ctrl C, Ctrl V. And you can't move both of them at the same time, because if I try to do this, something like this would happen. So we would copy the whole light, not keyframe, so we do not want that. So I will go back. There are plugins to do this, but you need to copy the keyframes individually. And now what I can do is my light is going to go on, stay a couple of frames on, and then go off. Then go off. So I will copy this keyframe and paste, and copy this keyframe and paste. And now I'm going to have something like this. And you can adjust it if you want, somehow. Okay, and now, if you want, you can actually go ahead and copy all of these keyframes, Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V, and with the bottom one the same thing, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, and now we are going to have something like this. Okay, so we have one blink, second blink, and then what we can do is actually create a new keyframe in here. So I will click this one and this one. So this is a new keyframe for the 0. And now I will go few keyframes and I will change this to 88 and this one also to 88. And now we are going to keep this. So now we have a blink, and then it is going to switch on and stay on. Okay. So yeah, basically this is it. This is the animation that I wanted to create. So yeah, I'm going to choose this to fit, to make it a little bit bigger. And there are some adjustments that we could make. For example, this is too long in there and so on. But yeah, I just wanted to very quickly show you how you can create a little project like this in the After Effects. If some people are going to watch it and like it, I am definitely going to create more videos like this and some more advanced videos. So the last thing that I want to show you is how you can export your animation. But before of that, what I want to do is to make this animation shorter. Because right now what we have is we have the animation like this, and then we have like a bunch of empty space. So what I will do is somewhere here I want my animation to end. So what I can do is click N, and it is going to make the work area smaller. So if I go back, you can either hit N or you can do it like this. And then right click on the work area and choose Trim Comp to Work Area. And right now what we did is we created the animation as long as we wanted. So there is not going to be like 1 more minute without anything. Okay? And right now what we can do is go to the file, go to the export, and we have two options. We can either go with render queue, which is going to be done in the After Effects, or we can go with Adobe Media Encoder queue. And I prefer this Media Encoder because there are some better options than in the render queue. So I will click this one, and it is going to open the Media Encoder, and it can take few seconds, so be patient. Okay, and right now it can take a few seconds or sometimes few minutes before my animation is going to appear in the render queue in the Media Encoder. So here I am, and right now what I want to do is I want to choose this H.264. It should be default, but if it's not, go ahead and choose this one. It's like pretty standard format. And then what I want to do is I want to click on this match source, and it is going to open the same window as in the Premiere Pro. And right now what you can do is click on the output name and choose where your video is going to be rendered. So I can go, for example, with the desktop, and I will call this Mercedes, and I will hit save. And now there are some options, but the only one that you can change is this bitrate, and by default it is 10 and 12. And I'm not going to explain like what does this means, but you can go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. You can go with maybe 8 or maybe 6. I wouldn't go smaller, so this would make like the file size a little bit smaller. And then I would hit OK, and I would click this icon, Start Queue, and this is going to render your animation. So yeah, this is it. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, hit the like. If you are interested in more videos like this, consider to subscribe. If you decide that you want to subscribe, make sure that you hit the bell, because otherwise you are not going to see new videos. Yeah, so have an amazing day. Hopefully you learned something new, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.